This anime is about politics, stereotypes, and war. This couldn't go wrong. Good morning, pizza people. It's Time Pizza back today with another video, and as you can see by the title, today we're going to be talking about Hetalia Axis Powers, aka known as Hetalia World Series, aka known as Hetalia World All-Stars, aka Hetalia the World Twinkle, and many more. Now, many of you know Hetalia, or you may know Hetalia as an anime that a comedy series in which like the Axis powers of World War II are all homies, and they basically just hang out and do weird, different, and funny comedy skits together. And it's an overall pretty funny and hilarious series because we get to see each like nation or whatever depicted in a humanity format, and they take their stereotypes and they make fun of them in a way that is for the most part lighthearted and playful and not meant to be taken seriously at all. And mind you, this series started as a webcomic in the early 2000s and it got a series in 2010, or the first series started in 2010. So like making jokes about stereotypes on TV and like being a little bit more like willing to go that extra mile and making these offensive jokes, it was a lot more cool to do back then. And as of now, I feel like a lot of people can't stand the anime as much due to it just being a show all about stereotypes for the most part. Just know when the show came out, it was a different time, and a series like this probably wouldn't even be greenlit today. But since the first episode of the anime in January 24th, 2009, Hetalia has gone on to have multiple series and a huge deep fan base. Like, I'm talking about their fandom is old, like the OG anime fans are in that fan base, you know what I mean? They're pretty supportive of that anime, so it tends to continue to go on and get more seasons because it is so popular and so loved by its fan base despite its premise. But I will admit though, as like time has gone on, it has been harder for people to be able to get into Hetalia and for Hetalia's fan base to even grow and become even more mainstream today, because it is a mainstream anime within the anime community, but it's hard for it to grow past that because with the way that people view things and with the way people see the world today, right? It's like they're not gonna view Hetalia with the same lenses as they would have back in 2010 when it started and when it initially got its huge fan base. And funny enough, right, like the series doesn't have that many real life controversies where like a bunch of people like mobbed together and just wanted it like gone for good. The only time that happened was the one Hetalia Korea controversy, and it was the incident in which like there is South Korea on Hetalia, and a lot of South Koreans don't like how they were portrayed. They felt it was disrespectful. They felt like they basically felt like it made them look a certain type of way, and they really didn't respect that. And that's understandable because when you're doing like stereotypes and like common things that you've heard about people, it's kind of a little iffy, especially when it's a whole race or a whole nationality of people. Like you're teetering on a very close line when you do things like that, and basically guaranteeing that like some way somehow somebody's gonna find a problem with like a lot of the things that you say or the way that you end up depicting them in the end. So with the character South Korea, right, it turns out that a bunch of South Korean protesters, they ended up getting together and they were able to get like Hetalia to not be aired for a little while on this Japanese kids television because of how offensive that they ended up finding it. And once again, there's no problem with South Korea protesters doing that because that's just the game you play when you have that type of humor. Not everybody's gonna like it, and you can't force them to accept your depictions of them just because you believe it's funny and you're doing it all in the sake of satire and comedy, because it just don't work like that. Not all your jokes are gonna be funny. But along with the South Korea controversy of Hetalia, right, it turns out that like there were some episodes episodes that the character of South Korea was gonna be in, because the character of South Korea is from the manga of Hetalia, right? But they couldn't include them in the anime due to the constant protesting, and there have been a couple of animation errors you can find online. I'm gonna try to depict it on the screen if I can get a screen cap of it, where the character of South Korea appears, and the character of South Korea even appears in the ending credits for Hetalia series. And it's just interesting to see that like the protesting based off of them not liking their stereotype was able to go so far that they re-edited the whole episode, not just not airing it at all. And they went through so much work in order to, you know, correct whatever controversies that the South Korean government found within the series. And you can even go to the Hetalia archives on Wiki or whatever, and it'll show you like a lot of the controversies that South Korea had with the character within the series. Like you can see they didn't like the clothing, they didn't like how he acted, and overall the character just wasn't a good fit, and there was too many problems, so they ended up having to cut him. And other than that, really, Hetalia doesn't have many more controversies, and it's interesting to see how they were able to handle it and how they went out of their way in order to correct whatever wrong that they had given, even if they had found it funny at first and they personally thought it was funny. They realized the others didn't find it funny, you know? Overall though, I do truly believe Hetalia is just jokes, and it's never gonna be more serious than that. And it turns out a large amount of Hetalia fans, they are actively against a lot of like misuse and like racist stuff and all that, and they call themselves Italians. Like I did a deep dive on this stuff, and they even have like a big thing about being against like racism within the community, and they hate like jokes about it because it's just corny to them. And I can honestly applaud the Hetalia fandom, bro, because out of anybody, a series that makes jokes about stereotypes, they're probably some of the most, you know, respectable fan bases when it comes to all that stuff, because they go out of their way to actively prevent incidents like that from occurring. But pizza people, let me know how you felt about the Hetalia controversy. Let me know if you enjoyed. Let me know if you want more videos like this. And until next time, I will see you pizza people on the other side of the slice. My name is Tine Pizza, and I will see you pizza people later. Peace. Zuh.